What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Kangaroo Black coming back once again with my top 5 SEC rankings after week 12. And once again, we got some changes. We had a team that was in my top 5 last week to go down. So you know that's the reason why it's changes from last week to this week. But let me go over my rankings from week 11 last week. Let's go over those rankings first. Last week, I had Texas at number 1. At number 2, I had Tennessee. At number 3, I had Texas A&M. At number 4, I had Alabama. And at number 5, I had the Ole Miss Rebels. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this week's top 5 rankings after week 12. SEC rankings, I might add. But hey, y'all can see I'm repping my Washington Commanders today / Redskins. I love, no matter what you call them, they will always be the Redskins to me. But hey, I can rep Commanders also. But anyway, just so you know, the Commanders / Redskins is my NFL team. But let's go ahead and get into my top 5 rankings after week 12. Coming in at number 5, I got those Georgia Bulldogs. Okay? Georgia Bulldogs coming off a big win against those Tennessee Volunteers. And you know last week I had Tennessee as my number 2 team in the SEC. But sadly they went down this weekend at the hands of those Georgia Bulldogs. And those Georgia Bulldogs, second half, dominated. It was a close game where it was a tied game at the halftime, but Georgia won the second half, basically dominated Tennessee in the second half, held Tennessee scoreless. Now, as far as Georgia, I could rank them higher. I can rank Georgia higher in my top 5 easily because I believe Georgia got the best 2 losses of any team in my top 5. Best 2 losses. They got a loss against my Alabama Crimson Tide and those Ole Miss Rebels. Both teams have been ranked the entire season. Before Georgia played them and after Georgia played them. So Georgia got the best 2 losses in the SEC, in my opinion. That's why I say I could rank them higher. And if Georgia, the Georgia that showed up against Texas in the second half of Tennessee, that Georgia team can beat anybody. So yeah, they can be ranked higher in my SEC ranking. But man, they just came back in my top 5 after losing to Ole Miss. They showed what they can do this week, so I have to put them back in the top 5. All right? So I put them at number 5. I didn't want to go too high, but they can easily be ranked higher in my top 5. So I got Georgia at number 5. At number 4, I got those Ole Miss Rebels. All right? I believe Ole Miss was on a bye this week. I believe. But I had Ole Miss at number 5 last week, so I had to bump them up one since Tennessee lost, so I had to bump them up one. But Ole Miss is playing some good ball. They got a good team. The defense is showing up and showing out this season. I think they got the most sacks in the country. As a matter of fact, I think they got the most sacks in the country on the defense, and I think that defense is the number 1 scoring defense in the country, I believe. But as a whole, Ole Miss is a good team. One of the best in the SEC. As a matter of fact, the greatest college football coach of all time, the great one, Nick Saban, said it out of his own mouth that Ole Miss is the best team in the SEC right now. That's how he feels. But anyway, I got Ole Miss at number 4 in my top 5 rankings. And the reason why I got them at number 4 is because one of their losses is to an unranked team. Unranked, which is Kentucky. All right. Kentucky, they just a bad team. Plus LSU, Ole Miss got a loss to LSU. I don't even know if LSU still ranked in the top 25 after this past weekend. LSU is not a good team. They was all damn hype. But Ole Miss is number 4 in my top 5 rankings. At number 3, I got my Alabama Crimson Tide. My Alabama Crimson Tide, boy, we're clicking on all cylinders right now. I know we only played Mercer this weekend, but you play who they put in front of you, and you supposed to dominate who they put in front of you. That's all I know. My defense is playing at a high level now. My offense is playing at a high level. My quarterback is playing at a high level. The last 3 games, my Alabama Crimson Tide has only given up 20 points, 0 to Missouri. Then after Missouri, we played LSU. I believe we gave up 7 points. And 7 points, 14 points. What did we give up to LSU? 13 points to LSU, and we gave up 7 points to Mercer. So 20 points in 3 games. That's damn good. I like what Coach Kane and the boys doing right now. I like what Nick Sheridan is doing, and I like what Coach Kane Womack is doing on the defensive side of the ball. We ready to go. And my Alabama Crimson Tide got a path to the SEC championship right now, and it don't look too hard. We just got to take care of our business, okay? But anyway, I got my Alabama Crimson Tide at number 3 in my top 5 rankings after week 12. At number 2, I got those Texas A&M Aggies. Just like my Alabama Crimson Tide, Texas A&M is coming off an easy win against New Mexico State. Blew them out the damn stadium. All right. Texas A&M, they playing pretty good ball too now. Okay. Another 2-loss team. Texas A&M lost the first game to Notre Dame. All right. Out of conference loss. You really hate them. But anyway. And they got a loss to South Carolina, which South Carolina is a very good team with a very good defense. South Carolina had a come from behind victory over Missouri this weekend. They got fight in them. They got hard. All right. So I think that's a good loss for Texas A&M. All right. Texas A&M, good team. Good team. They too is under a first-year head coach. So, hey, Texas A&M is doing their thing, and I think they deserve to be the number 2 team in my SEC rankings. And, of course, you know I got Texas at number 1, being they only got 1 loss, which is a very good loss, and that's against those Georgia Bulldogs. I understand Georgia beat them at home and, hey, basically dominated Texas in their own stadium. But, hey, Texas ain't lost but 1 game, and Texas is a real good team with a real good and with a damn good coach and Steve Sarkisian. All right, I know Texas had a bad game against Georgia, but I think this Texas team, if they firing on all cylinders, they can beat anybody in the country. Just like I think Georgia, if they firing on all cylinders, they can beat anybody in the country. Ole Miss can beat anybody in the country if they firing on all cylinders. And I believe my Alabama Crimson Tide can beat anybody in the country if they firing on all cylinders. But that's my top 5 rankings after week 12. My top 5 SEC rankings after week 12. Coming in at number 5, I got the Georgia Bulldogs. At number 4, I got those Ole Miss Rebels. At number 3, I got my Alabama Crimson Tide. At number 2, I got Texas A&M. And at number 1, I got Texas. And for those Tennessee fans that's upset because I don't have you in my top 5 rankings at this time, you got to remember, you lost. So if you lose, right, and a team in the SEC is sitting at number 6 or whatever, or Georgia was sitting at number 12, all right? But guess what? We all know Georgia is one of the best, is one of the top 5 teams in the SEC, no matter if they was out last week. We know that. And plus you lost to Georgia. So it is what it is, baby. It is what it is. You win this week and somebody in the top 5, happen to lose, you might be right back in my top 5 SEC rankings. Just like Georgia did. They lost. They fell out my top 5 SEC rankings. They won, and now they back in. All right? If y'all would have won, hey, Georgia probably wouldn't have. Well, y'all played each other, so somebody had to lose. So, hey, if you would have beat Georgia, you would still be in my top 5 rankings. But, hey, you didn't take care of business, so I had to pull you out. You know I can't take Texas out because they was number 1 last week. I can't take Texas A&M out. I had them at number 3 last week. I can't take Ole Miss out. I had them at number 5, and you know I can't take Alabama out when I had them at number 4. So, hey, it is what it is. They just moved up. My Alabama Crimson Tide moved up. Ole Miss moved up. And Georgia is back in it at number 5. So handle your business this week. and hope somebody else lose, and you'll be back in my top 5 rankings, Tennessee Volunteers fans. So, hey, it is what it is. That is my top 5 rankings, after my top 5 SEC rankings after week 12. All right, once again, Georgia 5, Ole Miss 4, Alabama 3, Texas A&M 2, and Texas at number 1. If you agree with it, hey, let me know. And if you disagree with it, let me know. We can agree to disagree. Now remember, be blessed. And KB don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, and roll damn Tide.